Trump sues Hillary Clinton and the DNC over the unthinkable Russia plot in 2016 election. Former President Donald Trump on Thursday filed a $24 million federal lawsuit alleging that Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee launched a wide-ranging unthinkable plot in 2016 to smear him and his campaign as colluding with Russian officials. In the suit, filed in the Southern District of Florida, Trump claims the goal was to fabricate a scandal in an effort to cripple his bid for the presidency. In the run up to the 2016 presidential election, Hillary Clinton and her cohorts orchestrated an unthinkable plot, one that shocks the conscience and is an affront to this nation's democracy, he says in the 108-page complaint. Acting in concert, the defendants maliciously conspired to weave a false narrative that the Republican opponent, Donald J. Trump, was colluding with a hostile foreign sovereignty. The 45th president alleges that the scheme concocted by Clinton, the Democratic presidential nominee, and others falsified evidence, deceived law enforcement, and exploited access to highly sensitive data sources, and was so outrageous, subversive, and incendiary that even the events of Watergate pale in comparison. Using the guise of opposition research and data analytics, an apparent nod to the highly controversial Christopher Steele dossier, Clinton and the Democrats sought to sway the public's trust according to the filing. They worked together with a single self-serving purpose to vilify Donald J. Trump. Indeed, their far-reaching conspiracy was designed to cripple Trump's bid for presidency by fabricating a scandal that would be used to trigger an unfounded federal investigation and ignite a media frenzy, claims the suit. Filed nearly 6 years after the election in which he defeated Clinton, claims. The scheme was conceived, coordinated, and carried out by top-level officials at the Clinton campaign and the DNC, including the candidate herself, who attempted to shield her involvement behind a wall of third parties, the suit says. In a footnote, the legal papers identified the Justice Department, the Office of the Inspector General, the 4 FISA applications, and Crossfire Hurricane, the codename given to the FBI's counterintelligence investigation into possible links between Russia officials and the Trump campaign. Clinton and the other Democrats, blinded by political ambition, masterminded the plot to spread false information about then candidate Trump, all in the hopes of destroying his life, his political career, and rigging the 2016 presidential election in favor of Hillary Clinton, the suit alleges. When the scheme failed and Trump was elected, the Democrats shifted their focus to eat away at the credibility of the Trump administration, the filing says. Worse still, the defendants continue to spread their vicious lies to this day as they unabashedly publicize their thoroughly debunked falsehoods in an effort to ensure that he will never be elected again, the former president says in the suit. The complaint also alleges that the Democrats violated the Federal Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, among other offenses. Trump is seeking compensatory and punitive damages, claiming that he was forced to incur expenses in an amount to be determined at trial, but known to be in excess of $24 million and continue to accrue in the form of defense costs, legal fees, and related expenses. Along with Clinton and the DNC, the lawsuit names as defendants former DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Clinton campaign chief John Podesta, the law firm Perkins Coie, the research firm Fusion GPS, former FBI officials Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page, and Christopher Steele, the ex-British intelligence agent who authored Dossier. Trump has long accused Democrats and Clinton campaign of conspiring to link him to alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election. The subject of unsuccessful impeachment proceedings against Trump when he was in office, but a heavily redacted report issued in August 2020 by the Republican-led Senate Select Committee on Intelligence concluded that Russia was behind a plot to subvert the integrity of the 2016 elections, an effort that represents one of the single most grave counterintelligence threats to American national security in the modern era. The committee found that the Russian government engaged in an aggressive, multifaceted effort to influence or attempt to influence the outcome of the 2016 presidential election, the panel said in the 966-page report. The report also said former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, who had wide connections with pro Russian officials in Ukraine, worked with the WikiLeaks website to help Trump win in 2016. The Senate committee's findings, like the report issued by special counsel Robert Mueller in May 2019, did not conclude that Trump or his campaign colluded with the Russian government. But Mueller's investigation found that the Trump campaign was receptive to Russian help. Feel free to give your thoughts on this. I find this very interesting because it's really more so trying to cover basically legal fees in a sense, right? Like trying to get money for legal fees, which I would understand, right? Like if you had to basically protect yourself due to allegations made by someone who simply did not like you or was like your enemy in a sense, and you just had to keep on paying these legal fees constantly, nonstop, over and over and over again, and it comes out that potentially you could end up suing them for not doing the right thing, a lot of people would actually end up taking that option. Like imagine if someone were to do allegedly what Hillary Clinton did to Trump. If someone did that to you, you'd probably want to get money from that, right? You'd probably want to recover all the losses in terms of money that you spent just trying to defend yourself, right? Because I don't think people understand the potential cost of like a legal battle. And there's a lot of reasons why people end up settling legal battles just because of how costly they could end up being. So something to really think about. Now the thing is, it's interesting that he's only going really for the money, right? Like and also in terms of his total net worth, $24 million dollars really isn't that much. But if he did incur the cost of $24 million dollars plus, then do whatever you can to try to get that money back. But also, this is going to be the interesting thing as well, because you're also having to spend even more money to do the suit, right? To do the lawsuit. So it's kind of interesting to basically be in a situation where you're going to have to be spending money to try to make back money that you had to spend to defend yourself. So the best outcome is to end up spending money to try to recoup money that was forced to be spent by your opponent or a former opponent. It's kind of like interesting, right? And if he's able to prove it in court in terms of like damages and all that kind of stuff, he could end up getting a lot of money from Hillary Clinton. So it's going to be very interesting to see the outcomes of this situation. Feel free to give your thoughts one way or the other. Either way, anytime you go into like a legal battle, just be careful because there could be a lot of legal cost for a very long time.